Hi, and welcome to Painting the Landscape of Your Soul, Wednesday afternoon soul experience. And so last week we kind of talked about the lay of the land, if you will, like the different ways that intuitive creation is different than regular art making. And so I just want to touch on that a little bit. But before I do that, I always like to make this offering, more of a sacred experience. And I do that by lighting a candle, lighting some incense, bringing all my senses in. And it's a way to kind of really bring the extraordinary into the ordinary. Otherwise, well, I'm just yammering on. So why don't we all take a moment and just close our eyes and breathe into our bodies. Just breathe into our body, let our breath land wherever it wants to land. And I'm going to light a candle. And the candle is a representation for me of the energy of fire, the energy of passion, of the heart light inside us that is just craving to be expressed. So that's what the candle represents. And then what I also like to do is use some sage or smudge or fairy bells. And I'm going to just use these a little bit to, again, create this body, mind, spirit, muscle memory. Letting us all know that we're welcoming in the extraordinary. That we're welcoming in the extraordinary, our extraordinary higher selves, our helping and guardian spirits, all those unseen beings that help us navigate this thing called life. And this is always how I start my practice. So my practice is with paint. For some of you, it could be meditation, it could be drumming, it could be dancing, it can be singing, or it can be all of that. And sometimes, even sometimes my practice is all of that. So take a moment and feel your body connecting with the earth, whether you're sitting on a chair or your feet are on the ground. Go ahead and just allow your body to connect with the earth. And let the earth yield to you, so you are being supported by earth energy. And the beautiful thing about being grounded is that you also help take all that chatter, all the mind chatter, or the expectations that you have, or that you have on yourself, and it takes all that just down. Kind of like a grounding rod to a house, it takes you down. Just notice what it feels like to be grounded in your body. And we'll continue this exercise a little bit before we start to paint, but I just wanted for all of us just to land here. So intuitive creation is a process-oriented experience. So everything that I'm talking to you about comes out of this groovy big pink book called Painting the Landscape of Your Soul. And Painting the Landscape of Your Soul combines intuitive creation, shamanism, and energy healing to allow you to come and connect with your body and your heart and your soul so that you can live the life that you really know in your heart you can live. And living means not just necessarily doing, but being the person you always thought you could be, being the highest expression of yourself. And so this work is intuitive based. So I'm not ever trying to teach you an art painting technique or how to mix colors or composition or all those things that you can get in an art class, which is a wonderful thing to do. But this work is really about allowing the painting experience, the expression of color and shapes to let the uncovered, let the buried, let those who haven't been voiced parts of you to come out and get expressed in your own personal metaphor, which could be lines, shapes, dots, symbols, but it's an experience that's really, really unique to you. And it is the safest way for your soul to express what it wants to express without your mind getting in the way. And so this process, I talked about this a little bit last week, about really staying in the moment, and it's you following the energy. So you get an experience and you just say, wow, I need some red on my brush, and you just start making movements with red on your brush until you get the next call. So you're following the energy, you're following the flow of your heart, and you're staying in the moment. You're not thinking about why am I doing red and what does the meaning of red do. You're staying in the present moment. So in a way, this work is kind of like an active meditation. But we use color vibration, to also help change our energy fields, heal our body. In Chinese medicine, sickness happens when, and I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner, so this is my reference. Sickness happens when things get stuck. Period. And you think about this, things kind of slow down, they kind of coagulate, they could be masses, bumps, depression, all these kind of things. Like our heart expression, our expression of our life wants to kind of be out there and be expressive and be all we can be. And so when we start to shut down, everything starts to do this, and that creates illness. So one of the ways to clear these blockages, if you will, is to paint, is to move, is to allow freedom back into your body. And so some of the guidelines, like follow the energy, trust the brush, trust the process, just trust where this movement is leading you to. Don't judge it. Don't judge the juice, as a really dear friend of mine said. And just stay in the flow. Stay in the process. Don't worry about the outcome. And so that's why I've started doing, traditionally when I do retreats, and actually there's a retreat coming up in February in Pennsylvania, and there's a few spots left for that, by the way. And you can find that all on my website, that's dominicelebri.com. But in the workshops, we paint on panels. You could stand up, you could sit, but there's these very large paper and very large panels, so you can actually move your body as you're painting. And it's beautifully cathartic and profoundly healing. But sometimes in our houses, that's a harder thing to do. So you can definitely get some nice big sheets of cheap paper or paper bags and tape them to the back of a door and paint that way. And currently where I'm living, I don't have that ability. And so what I've been using is a journal. And I want to show you the type of journal I'm using. And it's a good old Ranger journal, but what I like about it is the paper is super, super thick. And it can take an enormous amount of paper. And so these soul journalings, as what I'm calling them, start like this. There's something called automatic writing. And automatic writing is where you just get a piece of pencil or paper and you just start writing. And you don't edit what's coming out. You just let whatever words coming out. And so the words, like in the case of this thing, one is you really can't see what they're saying. But the other thing about them is they're almost like the foundation or the primer of the painting. And so it's a way that has shown up for me. I was going to say developed, but it's a way that's shown up for me that really kind of gives me a good 20 minutes of expression that I can use paint and I can use words and I can use movement to kind of keep things moving on. In fact, this process I started last week, and it's moving stuff. Let me just share that with you. So moving stuff means that, you know, some stuff's coming up that I need to look at. The good, the bad, the stuff I've been stuffing down, but things are moving. And that's why this creative process is healing, because it really allows things to move. So in this journaling, I just start by writing whatever's coming up. I'm not worried about the words. I'm not certainly worried about grammar or anything like that. What I'm doing is just allowing my soul to express whatever it wants to express in this metaphor called language. And then what I do is, while I'm in that state, then I go ahead and I start painting on top of it. And if you are on the Facebook group right now, you can look and see some of the time lapses I did, just to kind of give you an understanding of how you can work with journals. You know, this is not necessarily journaling to make work that's beautiful. This is about work of self-discovery. This is work to kind of come into your heart and soul and let what needs to be expressed. And so this one I did the other day, and it was just like paint on paint on paint on paint and paint, following the energy, until my timer ran out and I had to go on with my day, or until I just thought, okay, that's enough for right now. And so what I wanted to do today is give you an experience, and I know some of you are going to be watching this later on, but what I like you to do is get some paper or a journal or a notebook from the dollar store, it doesn't matter, and some color pencils or crayons or paint, and we're going to do a couple exercises to help you warm up, to help you kind of get into your intuitive, creative, healing power. Okay, so go ahead and get your paper and pen ready, paper and pencils ready, and I'm going to just gather this up. And we're going to do one thing first. We're going to go into the beautiful tomb of painting the landscape of your soul. And, oh, there was one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about distraction. And, you know, I always think that everything in this creative process is a life lesson. And so when you are painting, in this case, because it is painting the landscape of your soul, anything that shows up that makes you, anything that shows up that makes you want to check your phone, go get a cup of tea, think, oh, I've done this for 2 minutes or something like that. I'm totally done now. Whenever you get distracted, you have touched resistance. And so resistance, we know it where, there's just something pushing you from going forward, right? But resistance also is when, I always think about it, it's like when the circuit breakers go down in your house. Like you touch something that you're totally ready for, or you wouldn't touch it. But you touch on something, and there's like these bells and whistles inside your body that are like, oh no, we are stopping here. We are not going forward. It's time for tea. Check your mail, check your messages, whatever you have to do, but get the hell out of Dodge, right? That's resistance. And so the invitation with resistance is once you recognize that, and that's like any other practice, once you recognize that you have bumped into something, and this is a training, right? You can make your choice. You could go get tea, check your messages, pet your dog, or you can stop for a minute and say, what was that? And because it's something that is untouchable, because it's something that I call it a big ouchie. It's something that's just really hard to access. Chances are, if you say to your body, what is that? It may not come up. You may just hit more resistance. And so this is where the beauty of the painting the landscape of your soul process comes in. That what I invite you to do is when you hit that stop, go back to your body. Last week we talked about body wisdom, right? Go back to your body and say, okay, where in my body do I feel this resistance? And this resistance can show up as a body ache or pain. It can show up as a feeling or a sensation in your chest or your head. I've seen people where they've gotten nauseous, they've gotten headaches, their eyes start hurting, all these kind of things happen. And that's the place to start. The body is so wise. Our body wisdom is the thing that will help guide us from the places that we have put away, from the darkness. And so trusting your body, your intuition, your gut, following your belly and your heart is the way out from this. It's the way out from resistance, whatever that resistance is in your life. I always think that what happens on paper with paint often then gets reflected out into the world, because we are energetic beings. And so if we touch something here inside our bodies, that's in our energy field, and our energy field then mirrors that in life. So we can kind of take it from the inside, our inner landscape, our inner wisdom, out into the world, into our outer landscape. So that's a little bit on distraction or resistance. So those of you who have this, the book, I am looking at page 134. And so I'll give you a minute to open that up if you like. Great. There, that way you can see the candle a little. So what I thought we would do is today is open up your book or get your paper out and line up your paper, your pencils, your crayons, whatever that is in front of you. And bring your awareness back to your body. And we're going to do an exercise on feeling and responding. And this is really about emotions. There's core emotions and there's other expressions that we have, but we all have labels from them. And I want to do this exercise with you so that you can just touch base very quickly with your body wisdom experience of what you think is happening with this emotion. So what you're going to do is I'm going to say an emotion, and without thinking, if you can, feel where that word, that emotion lands in your body and say, what color? And pick up that pencil and that crayon and just go for it, or paint, and just make marks. Let your body move that word that we call emotion. Now, don't think, oh, if it's fear, it should be black, and if it's happy, it should be red. Don't. That actually is a limitation. That's another way that we have been programmed to stay in the box, right? And so whatever color your body wants, go for it. And then just follow the energy. Let that movement and that expression go. And so I'm going to give you, like, I don't know, 30 seconds per word. So, okay, so when you're ready, lay out your paper. Maybe have a sip of water. Okay, so first let's get grounded. Again, let's bring your awareness to your feet, to where your body's touching the chair or the couch. Take some long, deep breaths. Come all the way into your belly, and know that it's your belly that takes in all the information around you first, right? And then it goes all the way up to your brain, and your brain is what interprets the feeling. So we're going into the subconscious. We're working with the unconscious and your subconscious, right? Because that's where the healing happens. The mind will tell you stories, will keep you safe. But if you want to break free, you have to go back to your body. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is get comfortable, close your eyes. And the first word that we're going to use is faithful. So go ahead and express faithful. And if you feel like you need to change colors in that, go for it. But just let the energy move. Okay, the next word is lonely. Feel where lonely sits in your body. And ask that part of your body, what color? And just trust that your body knows best how to express this. Next word is alive. Again, find where aliveness lives in your body. Choose a color and let that expression of aliveness move onto paper. It's coming from the inside to the outside, from your inner landscape to your outer landscape. And the next word is fragmented. Again, find where fragmentation or being fragmented is in your body. Paint that. Let it choose a color. And the last word that we're going to do today is excited. So find where excitement is in your body. Good. Now pick a color and just let that move on paper. Don't judge it, just let it flow. Allow your being to express itself. Words are loaded. Words that express emotions are often limiting. The best way to express who you are is to allow color, shape, and form to bring up what you need to look at, what you need to heal, what needs to help guide you. And this is how you touch your inner landscape. This is how you discover your soul's journey. So feel free to share any of your questions or thoughts on this Facebook Live feed. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.